I love the infectious optimism in the air every time a new year rolls around that gets us all fired up about making lasting change. But yet year after year, so many of us fail to reach our goals and make these important changes. But this year is going to be different because in this video, I'm going to share the major common mistakes that people make every time the New Year's rolls around and they make yet another resolution to reach their health and weight loss goals without following through. The first common mistake I see people make is that perfection is the enemy of progress. Perfection entails some sort of unrealistic ideal, but as long as you're making measurable, consistent, lasting changes towards your goal, that's what's important. Living up to some unrealistic standard is not going to help you. Getting overwhelmed and frustrated and feeling like a failure is not going to lead you to your goal, to your intended outcome. It's going to forever keep you stuck and burdened in this place of purgatory where you want so badly to have this lean, healthy body, but you just can't seem to achieve it because your head gets in the way and you get stuck in the what ifs and this has never worked out for me before, I'm such a failure, I've tried this diet and I've tried that diet and nothing was helpful, I don't have time, that's just not going to work for me. All of the justifications and excuses start coming to our mind and just put a halt on our progress. But again, as long as you're taking little baby steps in the right direction over time, that's what's important. We're looking at the big picture here, not the day-to-day minutia. Perfectionism inevitably leads to overwhelm and burnout. We cannot put this high standard on everything that we attempt to achieve, or we wouldn't go anywhere or do anything. Don't let your mind get tripped up on the details. We look at the end goal and we see how far we have to go to get there. But really we should be focusing on the first step that we have to take to get there, not the giant leap that would get us from A to B. It's all about that mindset shift. Now the solution to this common problem of making perfection the enemy of progress is to make your goals challenging but realistic. So for example, if you are completely sedentary, you haven't lifted a weight in 20 years, start small. Tell yourself, I'm just going to go for a 5-minute walk today, and maybe by next week I'll be on a 10-minute walk every day. And maybe the week after that, make it 15, 20 minutes every day. You start small and you build your way up. You have to work that muscle. Just like you're working your body when you're exercising, you need to work your brain in a similar fashion when you're trying to wrap your head around achieving something that seems way out of reach. So day after day, when you see yourself making these small changes and you feel the difference in your mind and in your body, that will motivate you to push forward through those times of frustration and overwhelm. The next mistake I often see people make is overlooking their contingency plan. It is critical to not only anticipate, but to plan for what could happen. In the worst case scenario, if X happens, I will do Y. Obviously, you don't have to account for every little thing that could go wrong, but it's important to at least think about what you would do in certain situations, or if life were to get busy at some point, how would you continue your progress under different circumstances? Many people will hit the ground running. They will progress week after week after week towards their goal until life inevitably happens. There's a death in the family. There is a wedding. There's a holiday. There's a vacation. You got fired. You got a promotion. You have a sick relative or child. Your kid gets kicked out of school, or your adult child moves back in with you after living on their own for many years and they eat like crap, and your healthy sanctuary is starting to get overburdened with a bunch of junk food. I guarantee something is going to happen to knock you off kilter, to get you into a situation that you're not ready for, and you inevitably fall behind in your progress, you slip up, and you totally throw in the towel. That is what we are trying to overcome here. So if you take the time to at least consider the possibilities of, oh, when my child moves back in with me, I will make sure that he uses this cabinet, this part of the fridge, and this part of the freezer. And if he wants me to cook for him, I'm only going to make healthy on-plan options. And if you're not comfortable with that, get a little mini fridge and a place to keep his food in his room. There are so many options, you just need to consider them. Again, anticipating these situations is what's important. As long as we have a plan B in mind, then we've already lessened the impact of the circumstance and the stress that inevitably will come with it. You're essentially creating a buffer between you and inevitable circumstances that are going to yank you off your path towards achieving your goal. So the solution is to brainstorm and physically write down your plan B for each of the potential theoretical events that could take place that are going to throw you off base and screw up your momentum that you've been making towards your ultimate goal. For example, if you have some sort of family reunion or graduation or wedding or birthday coming up, plan exactly for how you're going to respond to people in the moment when they offer you treats and other junk foods that are not on your health plan. I actually have a great resource for this if you guys want to click the link in the description box below. It is the Food Pushers Response Guide, and it will equip you with 26 assertive yet tactful responses to quote unquote food pushers, or people who are typically well-meaning but still offering very toxic, unhealthful foods that you are actively trying to stay away from and have a vulnerability towards and are utterly tempted by. So again, click the link in the description box for the Food Pusher Response Guide if you're interested in having that in your toolbox. My dog is sitting on my foot right now. The third and final common mistake I see my clients make when it comes to goal setting and pursuing these goals is that they tend to forgo accounting for their micro goals. Micro goals are mini steps that we set up to ultimately lead us to our long-term goal. These are the smaller, more reachable options that you are going to be striving toward week after week, as opposed to the year or 5-year or 10-year plan down the road. These are legitimate action steps that you will be actively moving towards, as opposed to completely feeling overwhelmed and having no idea where to begin when it comes to a 10-year goal of losing 200 pounds or something. Many people get overwhelmed and give up after defining their long-term goal because they simply don't know where to begin. Defining of the long-term goal is essential in this process because we have to know what we're working toward, but it is not where we begin. You have to create your path to get there. You have to build a system around how to ultimately reach this bigger, seemingly unrealistic option. But you simply don't know what you're capable of yet. That's why you have to start making these mini goals to work your way in that direction. You need to see these small successes week after week after week in order to start believing that you can actually accomplish this major goal. So the solution is that after you clearly define what it is that you want to achieve, you slowly reverse engineer your way backwards in about 2-week increments. These goals should be doable, but still challenging. You don't ever want to make something so easy that you don't even try, because it simply doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't build that momentum that's so necessary to get to the next step. So if you eat dessert every day at every meal, for instance, taking out one of those desserts is not going to make a difference in the big scheme of things. Instead, perhaps you take out desserts on breakfast, and then the next week you take out desserts on breakfast and lunch, and then the next week you take out desserts on the final day. Do you see how I'm making it realistic yet still challenging for a lot of people who are holding on to dear life for those desserts after every meal of every day? If we don't make it challenging enough to motivate us to the next step, we're never going to get anywhere. You should feel accomplished and proud of yourself after each and every time that you accomplish one of these mini goals. So again, make them difficult, but not too difficult that you can't reach them. I actually have a great video that you can watch here that explains exactly how to go about setting your goals and building systems around those goals to always end up at the finish line. I also wanted to announce something to you guys that I'm so excited about. I'm finally building a group program to help people walk through this process and obtain their goals beginning the end of January. Watch if you're in my email list for some information that will be coming your way. And if you're not on my email list but wish to subscribe, you can always use the link in the description box below to opt in. I hope to see you guys on my email list shortly if you're not already there. There is tons of helpful content and exclusive information in those emails that I don't put in these videos. All right, guys, I so hope this information was helpful. Making New Year's resolutions is a very deterring process for most people, and I don't want that for you. I want you to overcome these obstacles and these mental barriers to achieving your health and weight loss goals. So give this video a thumbs up if you thought it was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.